Have you heard the phrase, trust the process? Well, today you're going to learn how much you trust me. Jasmine told me I can take 6 of my favorite cakes and I can give them away to you guys for free. So I've been kind of brainstorming and trying to figure out fun things that I could do. And this was something I came up with on the fly. It's so rare that I get a fun opportunity like this, so I decided to think outside the box and do something creative. So I'm going to hack up the cake a little bit. The knife I was using was a little dull, so Kelly, thank you so much for letting me use your really sharp knife. We have a few basic shapes that we can make our cakes. They are hearts, small rounds, large rounds, and small rectangle, large rectangle, and a square. So not very exciting shapes, but if you take those shapes and you cut them up in pieces, you can make whatever you want. So I'm cutting a piece of this heart off, and then I'm going to set that on top, and you guys can try to guess what it's going to be, but I don't know if you're going to get it. It's pretty different. Once I had this rounded part on top, I realized that I need to make it flat. So I have to take my knife and cut into the top and make it flat so I can set something on top of it. I know you're probably so confused right now, but that's the fun of all this, because honestly, when I was making this, I was pretty confused too. I had a general idea of what I wanted to do, but I was still just kind of winging it. Oddly enough, the inspiration for this cake is actually an ice cream cone. I cut a little mini sugar cone in half to make a little ice cream cone to put on a different cake. Then I was left over with this weird cone shape, and I didn't know what to do with it, and I didn't want to throw it away. Then I got to thinking, and I came up with this fun idea, and you're probably confused on why I have this weird orangish brown red color on the cake and why I'm not really doing a good job of covering the cake. But you'll see in a minute. Keep reminding yourself to trust the process. I promise it's going to be really fun in the end. I have a few ideas on how I'm going to give these away. I haven't 100% decided yet, but I know that the goal is to give them away to my followers and subscribers. So one of you will have the chance to get this. So make sure, if you're not, make sure you subscribe. I never ask you guys to do that because I don't expect you to, but if you'd like this cake, you're going to have to be a subscriber. But right now, I'm probably going to lose subscribers because I don't know who's going to want a cake that looks like an ugly shoe, but just trust the process. That's what we're going to keep saying, because that's what I kept telling myself when I was making it. Because at this point, I was pretty scared. I thought it was going to be a failure, and I thought it was going to be so ugly, and I was really unsure what I was doing. And every time a coworker would walk by, they'd be like, what is that? What are you making? But nothing is lost. Everything is redeemable. So no matter what and how jacked up and how messed up this cake is, as long as I'm keeping it frozen, I can make it look good. And so I just kept going and going, and here comes the part where things start to come together. I was staring at my ugly shoe, and I was just thinking, you know, what would look really good on this shoe? Let's just put silly string all over it. So we got some yellow, and I'm going to squeeze this all over our little shoe and see what we can make this look like. You know, it looks good, right? All right, you're a real one. You're still here. You're still trusting the process. I just want to thank you so much for still being here. I'm excited for you to finally see what is coming of this cake. Obviously, this is not a shoe. That was just a joke. And I'm swirling all of this yellow in there just to give it a little bit of texture because I'm going to cover all this up. That's why I don't really care what it looks like right now. There are a lot of jokes on the internet about how I'm not good at decorating cakes. And I never once said I was a professional, guys. I've literally worked at an ice cream place. All of this is just from experience, from doing it over time. And I also don't put a lot of effort into stuff. So it's honestly probably my fault if you think that I'm not good at decorating cakes. But it's just for fun. I mean, I work at an ice cream place. I'm not working at a bakery. I'm not trying to make this a career. I just do it. It's fun. I'm going to be honest. I'm getting really impatient. So I'm just going to tell you what I'm making. That was lava. The frosting was lava, and now these Oreo crumbs on top are like dirt or dried up lava, which creates a dark rock substance. So if you haven't figured out, we're making a volcano/dinosaur cake. It's kind of partially inspired by that ice cream cone that made me think of a volcano earlier. And then it also reminded me of my nephews who absolutely love dinosaurs. So this one's for you, Huxley, and your love for Jurassic Park. Once the cake was covered in lava and I sprinkled my dirt all over it, it was time to put our volcano on top. So that's the ice cream cone. What I did is I rolled it around in the frosting, and then I also rolled it around in the Oreo crumbs. This that I'm piping on top is a mix of raspberry puree and then that yellow frosting that I streaked on the outside. Once you mix it together with the raspberry puree, it makes this thick and then also kind of lava-looking substance. I thought it was super cool and it was really fun. And then here's my attempt to make a dinosaur. This is pretty sad, but I'm probably much older than most of you, so most of you probably have no idea what the Land Before Time movies are. But when I was a kid, I absolutely loved to watch these movies. It was a group of little dinosaurs that were all different kinds, and they were little kids, and they were living in a crazy dinosaur world, having to face big dinosaur problems all together as a team. And there was this little dinosaur, and his name was Littlefoot. He was a species they called a long neck in the show, but in reality, he was actually a Apatosaurus, kind of like a Brachiosaurus, you know, the ones with the very long necks. But spoiler alert for most of you that probably have never seen The Land Before Time, it starts off like most childhood stories where Littlefoot loses his mother. Are you still trusting the process? Do you see kind of where I'm coming from? I had a lot of crazy things that funneled down into this weird idea of a cake. Now I'm piping out our Apatosaurus. It'll be our dinosaur of this cake to rest next to the volcano. I was so impressed the first time I saw someone using this piping technique. It was my freshman year of college, and in the summer I was working at this bakery, and the owner was decorating a cake, and she put a dinosaur on it, and she just piped frosting into the shape of a dinosaur. And I never thought about using frosting in a 3D form like that before because I'm so used to ice cream cakes. And so I had to try it, and I've done it a few times over the years. Sometimes it looks better than others, but here's our dinosaur. If you're not a weird art kid like me, you're probably trying to figure out how I made this green color. It's kind of like a dark, like army type green. Well, the trick to doing that, it sounds odd, but it's to take red and mix red with your green. This doesn't just work with green, this works with pretty much every color. So what you want to do is, if you don't know the color wheel well, you can take a color wheel and look at whatever color is on the opposite of it on the color wheel. The opposite of red is green, the opposite of blue is orange, the opposite of yellow is purple. This is great if you ever want to take the brightness out of a color and kind of make it more muted in more of an earth tone. It kind of browns out the color. So what you can do is just add that complementary color, and it'll make it a nice, satisfying, and soothing color to look at rather than something that's bright and harsh. I wanted some type of border for the bottom of the cake just so it looked a little cleaner. I don't know if cleaner is the right word, but just so it looked a little bit more put together, I guess. And so I went and grabbed some cake crumbs, and so this is devil's food cake, or also known as chocolate cake, and so I crumbled up pieces of that and I sprinkled it around the bottom just to give it more of like a rock look. Like I said before, none of this was really planned. It was kind of just ideas as I was going, and so as I look at things more, I'm seeing more and more things that I want to fix and adjust, but I don't know exactly how to do it. So right now I'm looking at the dinosaur, and the dinosaur needs something. I need to symbolize that the dinosaur is alive or maybe dead. But if you've never done art before, the face is such an important part, so you either have to just leave it blank or go all out with it. And I couldn't decide on which one I wanted to do, and I didn't really want my dinosaur to have a cartoon face, so I was brainstorming and trying to think of a way that I could do the dinosaur's face but also symbolize that it was dead. And if you didn't know by now, I love Pokemon all growing up, and especially now as an adult. So I thought back to the Pokemon anime, and they always symbolized that things were dead by putting X's on their eyes. So I decided to give some X's to my dinosaur to symbolize to you guys that she's no longer with us. We gave her a mani and pedi, and then she was done. There she is. Our emoji of the day is obviously a dinosaur, and you made it to the end, so let me know.